So, as you guys know, Daniel Penny got into an altercation with a homeless man on the subway. Essentially, this man was threatening to kill people on the subway. He was threatening to attack people. And Daniel Penny was a former Marine. And so he took the liberty of restraining him on the subway. Now, unfortunately, because this was a schizophrenic drug addict, he died after he left the subway. Now, unfortunately for Daniel Penny, he was actually prosecuted for this case. So he actually, the last 2 years, has been in court being prosecuted for murder. Now, there was some good news in all of this, is that he was actually just found not guilty. So on all charges, he is officially a free man. Now, I'm first going to show you guys some of the footage that's being released of him talking about the case and the response from Black Lives Matter and other organizations. And then I want to talk about the lesson that men are learning from this.
East Village in Manhattan. So I take the subway multiple times a day. In this instance, I was coming from school. I got out of class around 2:15. And I took I was at J Street Metro Tech, took the Uptown F train at 2nd Avenue. A man came on, stumbled on. He appeared to be on drugs. The doors closed, and he ripped his jacket off and threw it at the people sitting down to my left. I was listening to music at the time, and he was yelling, so I took my headphones out to hear what he was yelling. And the 3 main threats that he repeated over and over was, "I'm going to kill you. I'm prepared to go to jail for life, and I'm willing to die." You know, this was a scary situation, and Mr. Nearly came on. He was threatening. I'm 6'2", and he was taller than me, so it was. And there's a common misconception that Marines don't get scared. We're actually taught one of our core values is courage, and courage is not the absence of fear, but how you handle fear. And you know, I was scared for myself, but I looked around. I saw women and children. He was yelling in their faces, saying these threats. I couldn't just sit still. Some people say that I was holding on to Mr. Nearly for 15 minutes. This is not true. I mean, between stops is only a couple minutes. So the whole interaction lasted less than 5 minutes. Some people say I was trying to choke him to death, which is also not true. I was trying to restrain him. You can see in the video, there's a clear rise and fall of his chest, indicating that he's breathing. I'm trying to restrain him from him being able to carry out the threats. And then some people say that this is about race, which is absolutely ridiculous. I didn't see a black man threatening passengers. I saw a man threatening passengers, a lot of whom were people of color. A man who helped restrain Mr. Nearly was a person of color. And then a few days after the incident, I read in the papers that a woman of color came out and called me a hero. I don't believe that I'm a hero, but she was one of those people that I was trying to protect. We were all scared. Mr. Nearly was yelling in these passengers' faces, and they looked terrified. The reason why there was no video at the start of the altercation was because people were too afraid getting away from him. And the videos didn't start until they saw that situation was under control. I knew I had to act, and I acted in a way that would protect the other passengers, protect myself, and protect Mr. Nearly. I used this hold to restrain him, and I did this by leaving my hand on top of his head to control his body. You can see in the video there's a clear rise and fall of his chest, indicating that he was still breathing. And I'm calibrating my grip based on the force that he's exerting. And I was trying to keep him on the ground until the police came. I was praying that the police would come and take this situation over. I didn't want to be put in that situation, but I couldn't just sit still and let him carry out these threats.
Next, this is him celebrating at the bar with his lawyers after the case. Look at he looks good.
Yeah.
He's feeling good. He's feeling good. He's feeling good.
What's up? What's up together? How's it going? How's it feel?
Feels great. He's finally got the justice he's deserved.
Did you think it was going to happen?
Sorry? No, we think that this should have happened probably on day one, but the point thing is it happened. So we can't control the timing of it, but we can certainly savor the outcome.
And why do you think it was not guilty?
That's that guy.
Well, he's not guilty on a few different reasons. Because his actions were justified. He was trying to help people on that train, and he did. And number two, he's not responsible for the death because the death was caused by a lot of other factors that we tried to present with a lot of clarity, such as the K2 abuse and the sickling crisis, and cardiac issues. Not to mention the paranoid schizophrenia, which only added to that impact. So I'm just glad that the jury was able to truly evaluate that as a potential cause of death, and that Danny was justified in the actions that he took.
On conservative Twitter, you think everybody's supporting this case, right? You see all of the big commentators saying, thank God he's free. And you almost think there's a tide turning, right? Because the public perception isn't what it was 5-10 years ago on a case like this. And I think part of the reason is because smartphones are allowing us to see more points of view that maybe we couldn't see 5-10 years ago. They're more common. People are taking videos. There's cameras everywhere. However, I think this is going to increase the number of men that are not going to step in situations like that. Now, you might think, well, he was found not guilty. But the way that men are going to see it, or a lot of men are going to see it, is he's had the last 2 years of his life ruined. It's not like he can go out and live a normal life while being on trial. So he's had to spend the last 2 years of his life putting everything on hold in order to fight this case. On top of that, he is going to now need to pay for security. He will never be able to live a normal life again. Now, there could be some pros that come out of this. Maybe he runs for a public office. Maybe he has a media career. I don't know. I think he's going to make the best of a bad situation. But it's also come out that the Jordan Needy's father has come out and said he is going to be taking him to civil court. So now he's got to go through another court case. You know, I think as you increase the cost of male protection, you know, I think at some point men are going to say, what do I get out of this? What do I get out of protecting women? Women as a group haven't been the best to men over the last 50 years. And it makes me beg the question, do we really deserve protection if we can go buy a gun just like the men? Why are we entitled to protection from men we don't know? And I went on Tim Pool like 6 months ago, and there was a story that we covered, and it was of a woman that was getting raped on a train in front of a whole group of people, and nobody stepped in. And I covered another case, I think 3 to 4 months ago, of a woman that got robbed at gunpoint, and nobody stepped in. And we wonder, you know, men have a biological instinct to protect women, the same way women have a biological instinct to protect children. And society has treated them so poorly in cases like this. They are now overriding their biological instinct in order to think about the consequences of potentially helping somebody. You know, as we keep increasing the price of male protection, I don't think it's wrong for men to not step in. And I completely understand why they don't. And you get even cases that I've covered where a woman looks like she's being abused by a man, and it turns out that man's her boyfriend. And the guy gets beat up and she ends up going back to the boyfriend. So, you know, if women are choosing not to get guns, if women are choosing to vote Democrat policies that are weak on crime and make all these catastrophic decisions like going out late at night, traveling alone, not getting married young, if these are the choices we make, why are we entitled to protection? Now, I want to show you guys the BLM response, and I just thought this was completely ridiculous. So this is the response of Black Lives Matter to Daniel Penny being found not guilty.
We need some black vigilantes.
That's right.
People want to jump up and choke us and kill us for being loud. How about we do the same when they attempt to oppress us?
Right.
I'm tired. We need some black vigilantes.
Oh my gosh. NAACP tweeted, the acquittal of Daniel Penny and the death of Jordan Neely has effectively given license for vigilante justice to be waged on the Black community without consequence. It's a painful reminder of the inequalities in our justice system. Jordan deserved compassion. Instead, he was met with violence. We stand with his family in calling for accountability. And this is what he's going to have to deal with the rest of his life. And it reminds me of a story. So I was talking to someone about the January 6th protests. And I have a tendency to view people that tell the truth regardless of the consequences as very brave, even if I agree or I disagree with them. You know, I had 2 guys on here once that just did not like each other. If you guys want to watch, I can't put their interviews on YouTube because they censor them. But a while ago, I had on Muhammad Hijab and Tommy Robinson. And they, if you know anything about their history, they do not like each other. But I still felt like both of them were brave in some way for like standing up for what they believe. Now, Tommy Robinson has actually been arrested in the UK and he spent years of his life in jail for that. And it's similar to the January 6th protests. But, you know, I don't like to say who I talked to. I don't want people, you know, but I spoke to someone recently and I asked if they viewed the men that do that as brave or stupid. And it actually amazed me, the female versus male perception of it, because all the men I talked to said, I view them as stupid because what did we get out of, say, January 6th? What did you get out of being put in jail for this? What did you get out of protecting women that hate you? And at some point, men are going to view, or a significant amount of men are going to view protecting women as stupid. Because what do they get out of it? And I can't really blame them from that point of view because you can't, you know, many people have tried to out alpha the state, but nobody can. You know, honestly, just going to court is punishment enough. Even if you end up beating the case, that's a time you can never get back. And if you look at the response and how aggressive these protesters are, I think he's going to have people protesting outside his house. He's going to need to hire security for the rest of his life. And, you know, right now he can afford a GoFundMe or whatever, but that's a target that's going to be on his back forever. You know, hopefully it dies down, but you don't know how long this will last.
Breaking news. The jury has reached a unanimous verdict in the case of Daniel Penny. He's been found not guilty on the charge of criminally negligent homicide. Now, remember what was at stake here. The jury could not agree on manslaughter. They failed to agree twice. The judge gave them another bite at the apple on this lesser charge, negligent. They now say not guilty. What does this mean? Let's first go to reporter CB Cotton, who's outside the courthouse, to find out how this has played out. Now, I hear an immediate melee of protesters, CB.
Hi, Harris. That's right. Protesters are pretty upset. There's a large crowd of them out here next to me. You can hear them rattling the police barricades, saying no justice, no peace. And what they're yelling now follows a series of threats that they hurled earlier as the defense walked in with their client, Daniel Penny, telling the defense team that Daniel Penny can have no peace here in New York if he's found not guilty on this lesser charge, criminally negligent homicide. And
so now you have BLM saying he gets no peace in New York. Now he's lost. I don't know if it's home state, but where he was happily living before. Was it worth it? That's a question every man's got to decide for himself. But you're going to get more and more men saying that this is just the juice on this is just not worth the squeeze.
Right now, they're repeating those threats. They are very angry. Harris, I also want to mention there were a couple people here this morning to support Daniel Penny, but the anti-Penny crowd far outweighs them, and they seem pretty upset. We're seeing police officers come out here in droves to try to keep the two groups separated for now. But I'm looking at our notes from the courtroom, and it seems like this is the first time we've seen some real emotion from Daniel Penny. His attorneys told me this morning that this trial has understandably taken a toll on him. He's been spending time with family and friends to try to stay calm. And our courtroom reporter telling me for the first time she sees him visibly smile, now hearing that jurors have decided he is not guilty of criminally negligent homicide.
Unfortunately, a lot of women have been voting Democrat for too long, and this is the result. So we can't be mad if we're not protected in public anymore, if men aren't stepping in, if this is how we treat the men that do. So that's really my only point for today. And, you know, that's where you kind of, for me, it begs the question, is stepping in to defend women, is it stupid at this point? Because the result could be going to jail. Is that worth your entire life being ruined, potentially sitting the rest of your life in jail? I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments. Also, let me know if there's anything you want me to react to this week. Like the video on your way out and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.